Greetings, fellow members of the Esoteric Order of Gamers. It's time for a Joy of Unboxing. It's been a while since we had a Joy of Unboxing. I haven't been getting some new games in recently, but the wonderful folks at Gale Force 9 sent me these beautiful 3 expansions for one of my favourite games, Star Trek Ascendancy. It's a fantastic, epic, long, juicy, rich, exciting game. I really enjoy it, and I've been trying to get these extra expansions for quite a while. They're a little bit tricky to get out there on the market. I've already got 2 expansions, the Ferengi and the Cardassians, and now the Vulcan High Command and the Andorian Empire join the game, and also this very special expansion, the Borg Assimilation Set, which allows you to play with 1 or 2 players facing off against the Borg. Resistance is futile. Now, before I start showing you inside these expansions, let me give you a quick look inside my core set. Whoops, I just dropped one on the floor. This is my core set, and I wanted to show you inside because I have actually come up with a way of organising everything so far. So on the top here, we've got my existing rulebooks. Of course, the Esoteric Order of Gamers rules summary and reference sheets. Now, I'm going to be updating these with any extra rules from these expansions, and of course probably a special sheet for just the Borg set as well. So stay tuned for that. And this is how I have my set. So you can see I've got a nice tray in the middle here, which has got all the exploration cards, trade agreement cards, things like that. More exploration cards down the bottom. Dice, counters, all in one nice tray that you can put on the board like so. There it is. I've got another tray over here, which I'm just in Ziploc bags, usually keeping all the different counters there for your resource nodes. They'll go in that simple tray. Over here, these of course are the dashboards for the different races that I've got. Over here, plenty of space for lots of planets. These are my space lanes, all organised in there. And then down here, I've got a 6-part tray, which again in Ziploc bags. And I put them in Ziploc bags in this case because it's easy to just take it out and give it to the player when they're ready to play. These are for the existing factions that I've got and the necessary cards and all that kind of stuff in there. Now, the question is, am I going to fit 2 more expansions in here? Are the Vulcan and Andorians going to fit in here as well? I'll have a look. I'm not really sure myself. I'll show you later on. But I'm trying to fit it all in one box so I don't have to carry around the extra faction boxes. I think I'll leave the Borg box on its own. But there's a look inside my core set. So enough of that. Let's have a look at these expansions. Let's start off with the Andorian Empire. Yes, they do look a little bit like My Favourite Martian. If you're of a certain vintage, you'll remember that show. They're blue and they've got antennae and let me see. Andorian Pride. Everything you need to add the Andorians and another player to your games of Star Trek Ascendancy. Discover new star systems, encounter new exploration cards, plus more space lanes and resource nodes. So, resource nodes I should say. Let's have a look inside. First, of course, a little rule sheet. Shows us what we've got here. There's the Andorian Command Console. And special rules for the Andorians, their fleets, their tokens. Here we go. And here's a special ability here, Andorian Pride. If your weapons or shields are better than all other players, take a culture at the start of your turn. If they're both better, take 2 cultures. So the Andorians love to be better than everybody else. Here's the beautiful control panel. I love these panels because you put these great little sliders on them. Where are my sliders? Here we go. I love these counters, aren't they great? You just slide them up and down to keep track of it. Yes, it's not the most complex console in the world, but it does the job, doesn't it? The other main ability the Andorians have is when you win a space battle, you can take 1 destroyed enemy ship per rival defeated and treat them as research tokens, which must be spent first when spending research. That's interesting. Then we've got some cards and lots of counters here. We've got some more space lanes, more Ascendancy research counters, so heaps more to choose from. More warp speed counters, command counters, Ascendancy, and some planets. There's Andor, the home planet of the Andorians, and some other planets to add to the mix. Very nice, always good to have variety in planets. Of course, every faction gets a little reference card and some fleet cards. And these are the special abilities for these particular types of fleets. Then we've got a deck of advancements. Of course, a lot of the flavour of the different factions comes from the advancements that they can create during the game to improve their military, cultural, scientific, espionage, trade skills. And you can choose to develop these as you progress through the game. Of course, some trade agreement cards which you can pass to other players if you want to form trade agreements with them. And then a small deck of new exploration cards. Yes, with every faction, the universe gets bigger. More resource nodes, of course. Control nodes in the Andorian light blue. And fleet markers with a very nice little ship design. And then, of course, we get a whole bag full of Andorian ships. And they are a rather snazzy looking, sleek design for the Andorian ships. And there you have it, the Andorians, the wonderful Jeffrey Combs there, or Coombs, I'm not sure how to pronounce it. Great actor, did some sterling work in Star Trek on TV. Really good stuff. And also played Herbert West in Reanimator, the classic horror film. Next up, it's time for those unemotional, highly logical Vulcans. And I notice we don't have Spock on the front here. I'm not sure if that's licensing reasons, or perhaps it's because Spock is actually only half Vulcan and they had to show full Vulcans on the cover. Could be. Here they are. Live long and prosper. Everything you need to add them. Let's have a look inside. And really, who doesn't want to add the Vulcans to games of Star Trek Ascendancy? Absolutely classic stuff. Looking forward to playing with this faction. Here's our rule sheet. Contents, setup. Unlike other factions, the Vulcans start with 3 Ascendancy. And they pursue their own agendas, which may be opaque to other cultures. Interesting. Various rules. Here are special rules for them. I'll show you those in a second on the panel. And it seems like there's also can spend ascendancy to colonize any uncontrolled system, even systems they're not connected to. Vulcan ambassadors, experts at diplomacy. They place ambassadors on systems and do not build star bases. Very interesting. Here's our console. Logical observers. Vulcans may not invade or attempt hegemony of systems controlled by a rival with lower ascendancy. And honest meddling. The Vulcan player may not lie to other players. On your turn, you may use commands to move ships of rivals whose trade agreements you hold with their permission. So, you've got to be honest if you're a Vulcan. That's going to be challenging for some people, I know. As usual, we have extra counters and star lanes. Got a huge collection of star lanes now. There we go. And then we get into the planets. There's the home planet Vulcan itself. And some other interesting planets and anomalies and hazards. Okay, more resource nodes, of course. A reference card and fleet cards. Here we have these mysterious and unique agendas. So secret winning conditions. Very interesting. Now, the interesting thing about these agendas is that you pick 2. One of them you keep face down and one of them face up for all to see. So, and you win by achieving either of those objectives. So, could be some sneaky wins for the Vulcans. Here's our deck of advancements for the Vulcans. And finally, trade agreement cards and new exploration cards. Oh, Mirror Universe Spock. Well, instead of star bases, we have ambassadors, and they come in this lovely orange. All the Vulcan pieces come in orange. We've got our fleet markers. And of course the same design for all the ships. There they are. Also note these have flat bases, so they sit nice and flat on the board, don't roll around, which is good. And of course a lot of very nice looking control nodes. Well, there are the Vulcans. Okay, so we've got the Vulcans and Andorians now, so we've got quite a lot of choice in the factions that we pick for Star Trek Ascendancy. And it's fantastic to have these different factions that have different advancement trees and different positive and negative abilities and even special rules for some of them. But let's try something a little bit different and add the Borg into the mix. This should be very interesting. I've really been looking forward to trying this one out. Now, apparently there was quite a bit of confusion initially about the rules for using the Borg, but I'm happy to say that, in fact, the core rulebook and the Borg one, they've all been rewritten and re-released. So not only do you have much better rulebooks now, but also you'll be getting the Esoteric Order of Gamers rules summary and reference, which hopefully will make it even easier to play. Because, you know, I want everything in a summary form that I can pick up really easily so I can start playing the game quickly and not have to go through the whole rulebook again. So let's see what you get in the Borg assimilation set. First you get your rulebook. I'm not sure whether this is the original rulebook or the redone one, but never mind, the redone one I've got in PDF form. And you know, I don't know about you, but when I've done a rule summary for one of these, I never use the rulebook ever again, because I make sure that I put every single rule, every single necessary rule from the rulebook into my summaries. And then I can just put this thing aside and never look at it again. So there's the rulebook. I've got a strange looking control panel here. This describes the Borg turn, something called a transwarp hub, Borg weapons and shields. Hit roll depends on the Borg worlds in play, so obviously the more worlds that you take over, the better your chance to hit. Interesting. Borg cubes combat. Borg cubes begin combat with 9... Oh yes, the Borg cubes are of course the Borg ships. They begin combat with 9 attack dice. They lose 1 attack die for each hit scored against the cube. So there you go, and they also regenerate as well. Oh dear. We've got some extra planets. Transwarp conduit phenomenon. Transwarp hub. Some Borg counters there. And what do we have here? Some special dice. This reminds me of the Necrons I've just painted, which are very much the black and glowing green. Isn't it funny? I wonder why black and glowing green have sort of come to represent evil technology. Funny. There's a deck here of Borg command cards. Of course, no trade agreements. The Borg won't be doing any trade agreements with anybody. That would be really not on theme. Simulation expedited. Move target. Oh, this looks great. Command aggression. Linkage. Yeah. Now, of course, I probably haven't pointed out that the Borg are not played by a player. They're controlled by the game. So this is why you can play with one player. You can play solo against the Borg. But in any game, you can add the Borg and have them take over the universe, or try to take over the universe, while you're trying to win. First up, we've got 5 Borg cubes. And don't they look great? And I just don't think I can resist adding just a little bit of dry brush into this to pick out that detail. That looks really good. We've got Borg spires. Apparently these mark systems under Borg control. And then there's assimilation nodes, a whole lot of these, which are built around the spire. So let me see, how does this work? Oh, look at that, they just slide into there. Oh, this is great. So presumably These indicate how close the spire is to completing a new Borg cube and track shield modifiers. So, look at that. Very imposing looking thing. Very creepy. I wonder if the Borg cube goes in. Oh, look at that. Yeah. Ugh. And of course we've got a bunch of extra resource nodes and everything as well. But I'm really loving these spires and cubes. They're suitably black and terrifying with those great green accents. Really nice. Then there's a deck of Borg tech. This is a bit different because you actually get these cards when you defeat the Borg in combat, and it allows you to battle them in future with more tech on your side, which is interesting. And finally, more exploration cards. Simulation. Oh, a whole lot of assimilation going on. Borg drones. Oh, look, this is fantastic. Who doesn't love the Borg? Such a good invention. Really going to enjoy adding these to my games of Star Trek Ascendancy. Look at that. It's all Borg stuff. Wonderful. Well, there you go. The Borg have joined my collection of Star Trek Ascendancy factions. And as I said before, this is a fantastic game. I do have one battle report for this game on my YouTube channel. Be sure to check it out. It's quite fun. I don't think we make too many rules errors. It was only about our second game, but we did pretty well. It's relatively complex and it certainly takes a bit of time, but it's one of those games that's really enjoyable to set aside the time, get some good friends together and really get into the theme of the game. There's a lot of exploration, there's combat, there's building up your faction. It's a lot of fun. I really, really enjoy it. I'm very much excited to bring the Borg in as well, as I said. So thank you very much, Gale Force 9, for sending me these three. As I said, I'll be updating my rule summary and reference sheets as soon as I get the opportunity. So keep an eye out for those on the Esoteric Order of Gamers. Oh, one last thing before I go. You're probably wondering, did I fit it all into the core set? Well, yes, I did. But it's a very, very tight fit. Because I've got 7 factions now and only 6 spaces, I mean, who designed this? I have to double up a bit. So I've got, half Vulcan in here and half Andorian. So that may need a bit of reorganising somehow. I've got to get some shape in there, so I'll get 7 sections in that space. Not sure how I'm going to do that. That could be tricky. I did manage to fit in all the space lanes. They're overflowing just a little bit, but they're all fitting in there. Here are all my faction control panels. They're fine. Plenty of space for all the planets. They're all fitting well. So that pops into there. On top. There we go. It does fit. Like that. Resource tokens, got oodles of those, and they fit into that tray. Overflowing with counters, but there is just enough space to fit them all. The main problem is the exploration cards, because I have them sleeved. So I've got this many extra exploration cards to fit after they've been sleeved in just this little space. That is probably not going to fit. So there is going to have to be a little bit of rethinking here, but I think it's possible. I think we can cram everything except the Borg expansion into one set. Of course, if you bought any of the extra themed star bases and things like that, you're probably going to run out of space. Anyway, not too bad, pretty close. Now, the best way to keep track of what I do, of course, is to follow me on social media. I've got a Twitter channel where I'm most active. I do have a Facebook page, though I'm having a few buggy problems with Facebook lately, so it's not quite as reliable. The other place to go to, of course, is the website, orderofgamers.com, and I always update that every single time something new goes up, so you can keep track of what's going on. The other best place is to join the community at my Patreon page, which is at patreon.com/esotericorder. And there's lots of lovely people there who are being so kind as to put their hands in their pockets and throw me a few bucks every month. So I keep churning out stuff for you, videos and especially rules summaries and other stuff as well. So if you want to join up there, I'd really, really appreciate it. In the meantime, please subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. Click all notifications and I will see you next time. Thanks very much for watching. Good gaming. Bye.